Alright, welcome back to Three Swords Gaming. We are right at the end-ish of the meta event, which will also fill the green bar that I complained about earlier. And I meant it when I complained. So this included doing some events that weren't part of the meta. Now, I think the meta would have filled it anyway. I think it automatically fills it. But be that as it may, we're at where we're at right now. We're going to try and get around. We just defeated some sort of lung or something. Because, again, we're helping Livia. And she is, like, the Q for this meta. We're helping her fight the body of the Titan who it is we are inside of, I guess. Am I going the right way? Oh, do we pull this down? Sure, I'll pull this down. Oh, and it's done. Cool, man. So now that we've defeated the lungs, the heart is happening, but I'm not sure we're going to get there in time. We'll see. Anyhow, yes, so the meta event. Oh, actually. Once this is complete, then we can resume the story. But this also takes the place, like this could have been an instance. But it's not, because when we resume the story will pick up as if, you know, doing the meta was part. So again, to just reinforce that they could have just as easily said, do the meta versus fill this green bar. Essentially, it's going to act that way. The story's going to pick up from this point where we have, like, debilitated the body by doing the meta. So, something to keep in mind. And that is why I started. Sorry, it's hard to think and do the event at the same time. Because I don't think when I play the game. That is why I wanted to catch the very tail end of the meta event. In the video was to so that there would be that continuity, so that would exist. I got you, Mr. Bumwhacker. What is his name? Miko say Bum. All right, cool, man. I'll help you out. We should be, yeah, this is 4 or 5. Alright, cool. We're getting close. And I believe also, since we're trying to get through this right now, we should also get some of the wizards nonsense from completing this meta event. And that's good. It's good because, you know, that's gold, or it's skins, or it's whatever you want it to be, based on how you choose to use the Wizard's Vault. For a less mature account, I like it for gold, because gold is good utility. On my main account, I try to prioritize the skins. Do I not need to be doing this? Are we the stupid ones who are still killing these things when everyone else is fighting the vascular lithocyte? I mean, they got the cross swords. Surely they need to actually die, right? Who knows? Who knows, man? I mean, somebody knows. Probably of the 6 people who will view this video, 4 of them know. I just don't. Also worth noting is, so this character is wearing one of the bathing suit skins. They released new ones. which is fun, because truthfully, I don't like the politically correct, politically correct-ish attitude of don't do skimpy skins. That... Alright, is that... Yeah, I think that's the whole meta. And it filled the green bar as well. Yeah, there we go. Good times. Okay, one more thing of note. While we are here, there are some things... I don't know what scroll of memory and incomplete scroll of memory are. And I don't care. They're probably lore things. Don't care that much. What I do care about is I believe there is... I think you can... Is it that? That... There are things you can only get to while the meta's down, and I don't kind of care that much for the map completion side of it, and I can always do it again. But I was thinking about trying to get to the mastery point. But I'm not sure if the meta has to be done to get to the mastery or not, if I'm being quite honest. We'll grab it real quick and continue with the story. Yeah, so they have... there we go. Almost the 1300 now. So this is the new one. Big fan. Big fan. Maybe we'll throw that top on her later or something. I don't know. Don't know. We'll see. Where is... It's way over there, man. I can't, like I said, I can't remember if the meta needs to be done or not. But just in case, I want to grab it. And as you'll see, we actually... I haven't been doing anything on this account when I'm not doing these playthroughs. This account's been pretty inactive since I quit doing the 0 to 0 thing. I just do the story playthroughs. Shame. For shame. Alright, the other thing we're going to do... Oddly, there's a waypoint back here. So let's grab that. And I don't know... Is this waypoint always open? Is this the solution to need to finish the meta to get certain things? They just threw a weird waypoint back here in the very back? No idea. Or is it... I believe there's a jumping puzzle somewhere on this map too, though I haven't done it. So maybe it's related to that. Under any circumstances, meta's done. Next story is actually all the way back here in Mistburn Barrens. So let's go there. Oh, I haven't even got that mastery point right there. Oh, what am I doing? I just want to go grab things. I'm not paying any attention. Alright, story. So we have weakened the big old Titan. Oh, yeah. And a whole bunch of me talking because the voice actors don't talk. Are they paid if they don't talk?
Alone, as requested.
I found another of Mabon's memories. Figured it was best discussed among a select group.
No need to mince words, says Anise.
Olivia hasn't been winning anyone's trust lately. We thought the matter too important to risk another incident.
Guess that's not unreasonable. Well, let's see what else Mabon has to say.
Alright, so as you recall from the last content drop, the last thingamabob, Mabon...
I told you, Father Nisos is no more. We are fated to much the same. I gave you the chance to end my misery. Instead, I'll end yours. What good is it? Prolonging the inevitable. How small you seem now, alone trembling, without your kind to shield you. Small and alone.
Huh?
This is your final chance. Fight back. Look around you. My kind has killed for less. I am ashamed. This ward will keep you safe here for the time being, until I figure out what to do with you. It's not worth it killing you. It never was.
He spared the stranger's life, even after it killed his entire people. He was honorable.
What a weight to carry.
And still, he kept it from me. Should have been all the more reason to tell me, given everything. Ah, the fool. Then he just left the problem to grow. Never knew him to be so irresponsible. I'm beginning to wonder if I knew him at all.
Well, sometimes you ignore a problem, hoping it sorts itself out. Except that usually makes things worse.
Let's not get carried away. I'm sure he expected it to go back through the Mist's gate. Not lawyer here for centuries.
Why didn't it return to the mists?
I don't think it could, and maybe it was waiting for him. Regardless, it doesn't change our mission. If anything, it makes it more dire that we bring closure for Mabon. That was Anise.
You're right, Anise. And that starts with all of us working towards the same goal. All of us. For Mabon.
Anise
I'll
sighs.
call Livia.
Alright, Commander, call Livia. Get everyone on the same page, Commander. So, for clarity, before we call Livia, what we saw, as we remember from the last content, we're getting these, like, these visions of Mabon from the past, and they're like messages to us, or they're at least guiding us in some capacity. And what we saw here was Mabon, from the previous content, he had encountered something in the destroyed city of Bava and chased it past the gate where we couldn't go. And of course now we've been there, and what we just saw was what happened when he encountered that. We are meant to perceive that it's a Titan, and that he was prepared to destroy it if it did not destroy him. And then he, you know, because he's a nice guy, I guess, he did not. Which Pokey views as honorable, and that's fine, but you could also view it as downright foolish under any circumstances. Which Isgarin kind of hints at. He's like, you know, wow, I really didn't understand Mabon at all. Mabon, the pacifist Mersat. So he put up the ward, not so much around the city, but around this Titan, and that is the ward that has existed all this time until it came down upon his death in Secrets of the Obscure. Which allowed the Titans to get out, but not the Titan that he had actually sealed in with the ward, because by that time it was part of the city. Because of all those years, it kept growing and growing and integrating with its environment, which we've seen, you know, is something Titans do apparently. Okay, Livia.
Livia, I've reconvened with the others. What's your status?
Excellent timing, Wayfinder. I'm in the heart chamber. We've retired the other vitals and are clearing the last static.
Livia? Are you there?
Need backup. Static. Get here ASAP. Static. I'm not going to try and do a static noise.
To the heart chamber at once.
Alright, Isgarin, to the heart chamber. Now, they're going to do something here, which they've been doing since Secrets of the Obscure and have continued to do through Janthir Wilds. Portals. Conveniently, when needed, but not when not needed, going wherever we need to go, but never going where we want to go, because they're only used when absolutely needed. I I mean, could Isgarn just send me to Lion's Arch real quick so I can use storage and come back? Presumably he could, but never
Its
will.
innards are looking the worst for wear. That's promising at least.
So this is essentially the end of the meta, right? Innards looking worse for wear in the heart chamber. Yes. Let's go axe. Why not?
But let's clear the ambush first. Then we can deal with the heart.
Okay, so when Waiting Sorrow said impressive, she was responding to the Livia without a voice, who said, "Took you long enough. We knocked out the other vitals," which was the meta event. "We just need to stop this heart," which was the end of the meta event that I had no idea what I was doing, right? That's good. Every time I'd run the meta in the past, which was like 4 times prior to this, I had never got from whichever respective organ I was working on to the heart in time. I think I got there right as they were finishing the very first time I did the meta, but not as early as I did this time. So I never had a reason to know what was going on there before because I'd never made it that fast. That's all of them. Oh. Yeah, Pokey has a voice. Anise, Livia, are you alright? Livia, I'll live. Anise, you better. Livia, alright. Now let's stop that heart. What are we waiting for?
You've done admirable work thus far, but it appears the Mist Gate is directly fortifying the heart.
So, we'll take out the gate. The scepter will take care of it.
Yes, it can, but it will require all of its power to do so. I'm afraid a sacrifice must be made.
What do you mean, sacrificed? I've used Legavo for centuries. It doesn't just run out of power. It's a good point, Livia.
Closing a mist gate is in a tier of magic all its own. Even for Tyria's greatest wizards.
I know what you're playing at. I swear, if you think you're going to con me into leaving...
Listen to me. This matter is far beyond the childish feuds of the physical realm.
What's the gate doing?
What is the gate doing?
What are those? Creatures of shadow. Abominations.
I've seen enough. Weapons, now!
Okay, so we're going to talk while we fight abominations, which are, by the way... and I've seen other, other YouTubers, content creators talk about this and stuff. They are creatures from the underworld, and not just underworld in the broad sense, but the Guild Wars 2 underworld, which is the realm of Menzies, right? And that goes back to, you could go in the underworld in Guild Wars 1, and we have some exposure to the underworld in Guild Wars 2 when a chunk of it is brought up out of the Mists and into Tyria in Dragonfall. So we've seen shadow creatures before in Guild Wars 2. The commander has battled them before in Tyria with, season... What's Dragonfall? Season 4, right?
Livia, the scepter! Now would be an appropriate time to use it!
I'm trying. They're not responding to it, says Livia. In response to... What's her face? Waiting Sorrow. Okay. It's been suggested... undoubtedly on the subreddit, which I don't touch these days, so if you suggest it on the subreddit, I'm not stealing from you because I would not ever deign to read what you put there. And also by content creators, that this is like possibly a suggestion that, something with Menzies is to come, and some folks thought that this was an indicator that it was coming at this point in the story. I really loathe the idea of them bringing Menzies into this. That would, for me, be really, lame, but for any number of reasons, which I prefer not to go into. Point being, I really hope this is not a suggestion of that. I don't want that in any way, shape, or form. Regardless, here we got shadow creatures. Now, it does make sense if that mist gate leads to the underworld, that shadow creatures would emerge from it.
Don't worry, Countess. I've got your back.
So it just gave us Anise winces. I assume if there was voice acting, she would have made like a noise. She just said, I owe you, Pokey.
It was nothing.
Ah, Pokey.
Never stop. We killed one. The gate spits out two more.
Youth is correct. The Scepter's power is futile against these creatures anyway.
Close the damn gate.
Shut up, just let me. Huh? Legavo is trembling. It's never done this before.
He's here.
Okay. Move, Commander. We gotta see the gate.
Apologies for the dramatic entrance.
Here you see
Allow me to lend a hand.
somebody on his way down.
I don't believe it.
And he says, it's really you.
It's been too long.
That's Mabon right there.
Shadows.
Alright, sorry, I was focusing on the Elite Infinite Shadow for a second. I want to note that, I want to come back, rather, to me talking about, we were told, and have been told for years and years in Guild Wars 2, how dreadful the Scepter of War, Legavo, is, and what its use represents, etc., etc. Now we're using it to try and close this gate, which is a whole nother conversation also. In fact, can we all just stop here for a second? Yeah, I like it. Shadow Worm is helping us out by being out of aggro range of all the NPCs so we can talk for a second. So, we've been using Legavo. We're not seeing any negative effects. We're still talking about the negative effects. We're not seeing negative effects. Using Legavo appears to be harmless. It sunk an entire continent, and by the okay, so then there's that. Legavo sunk ore. Rather, Vizier Kilbron using Legavo sunk ore, right? Is that correct? As far as I know, that's correct. And only that power can close this mist gate. Why is this made? What is it about this mist gate that makes it different? Because there are mist gates in Lion's Arch that the Asura just built. They take you to World vs. World. Remember, World vs. World is in the mist. We've been to the mist many times. There's a mist gate in Tomb of the Primeval Kings. We've engaged with the mist numerous times. Areen took us into the mist and back out while we were, or rather, actually, I digress. Kralkatorek created those mist portals. My point being, suddenly, something so powerful that it can sink continents and, like, this truly cataclysmic power is needed to do something about this gate. Cataclysmic power has not, up until this point in the story, been required to traverse the mist. On the contrary, the veil, the fabric between Tyria and the mist has been very, very thin in Guild Wars 2 lore until now. And now we need this incredibly powerful relic that Livy over here has that supposedly using will be cataclysmic in nature, but it's not cataclysmic in nature because we've seen no ill consequence. There's massive lack of continuity within the story. And then we also have the appearance of Mabon. We can discuss that more here in a minute. This is not him appearing is not a lack of continuity, because we've seen it before. Remember, not Zoja, the other Asura in Destiny's Edge, and Air came out of the mists in season 4 and hung out with us. And Air talked to Bram and was like, "You're a good son, Bram." And Bram was like, "Oh, I needed that. I needed my mom to tell me I was a good son." And then she goes back into the mist. Even though she's really like very dismissive of him, like it gave him some kind of closure or something. All that nonsense sets a precedent so that Mabon coming out of this gate and being like, "Yo, I'm the same Mabon, but I'm a different Mabon," like, is completely okay within the lore. So we got a lot going on here. And not all of it is good. Alright, Mabon, what's up, buddy? Or is there more? Is there like another abomination thing that I don't...
That should do. For a time, at least.
For a time.
I believe I'm owed an explanation. Several, for that matter.
Glad to see you haven't changed. I owe you all explanations. Though time is short, I'll do my best to provide them.
Alright, Mabon. Do please... That noise we're hearing in the background is the beating of the heart. Animated exceptionally well, in my opinion. But the noise is a little annoying. That's cool, too. They did a lot of cool things with this release. And I mean that. I absolutely mean it. And earlier, when I complained about the amount of dialogue versus action, it's worth noting I enjoyed a lot of that dialogue. I like Janthir Wilds. But there are problems. And that's some of the things we're discussing. Mabon, fix these problems. Mabon, why did you keep all of this hidden?
A fair accusation.
Yeah.
I suppose I was fatigued from all the senseless bloodshed. I returned here to mourn, to reflect. And amidst the destruction stood Cybers, the last of his kind, a kindred spirit. So I cast a protection ward, assuming he'd return to the mists. I could not have predicted that he'd await my return. I aimed to gift him a chance at another life, same as Astaran gifted me. Instead, I doomed him to a much crueler fate. I was not yet prepared to admit my folly to myself, or to those I hold dear. For all of it, I feel immense shame.
Okay. I do like all of that from a storytelling perspective. The tragedy of trying to do the right thing and it turning out tremendously cruel, I like that. I like that quite a lot. I just don't like the plot devices that got us to this point. Okay? And Savis, by the way, or Sevis, or however he pronounced it. In my head it's Savis, because phonetically it looks like it should be Savis. Is the Titan that we are inside of, the Titan whose heart that is. Love this, by the way. These, like, the way the city got turned into like these things all around the heart. It's just so cool. All right, is sacrificing the Scepter of Ore really necessary, Mabon?
I'm afraid so. In order to close the gate permanently, we will need to rely on the power vested in the Scepter of Ore. Given its historic ties to the Mists, an instrument of its caliber is uniquely suited for such an offering. The Seers crafted Legamo to keep beings from the Mists at bay, and it will be used to do just that. I'm sorry, Livia. I know this is no small sacrifice.
Alright. So we get no further explanation on why sacrificing, so not just using, sacrificing the scepter is necessary to close this gate. Then he apologizes to Livia. Now remember, Livia has, for more or less the last 250 years, been the owner of the scepter. It has at times, because it was when we encountered the wizards, it was in the possession of the wizards, right? So she has not physically held it for 250 years, but apparently she has been the owner of it. It has been tied to her for the last 250 years. That's why Livia has been alive since Guild Wars 1. And unchanged. Still her same sexy self, right? He is apologizing because she will no longer have that life-prolonging power. The power of immortality is no longer Livia's. So here's what's actually happening here. We're not going to get an explanation on why Legavo is necessary to close the gate. The problem I talked about at the very beginning of my content for this release is a problem that ArenaNet has decided to fix. The scepter was out of proportionality with the rest of Kryta, or with a majority of Kryta. There are a few things in Kryta that are out of proportionality, but the scepter might be the most egregious. Besides Arene, the scepter is the most egregious. Arene is the most egregious. So, to fix that, ArenaNet said if we get rid of the scepter, we tie this up with a bow. We no longer have a problem of this thing floating out there in the lore and potentially in the game if we introduce it, which they did. We can make it go away. So, gate to the Titans, other side of the gate, the Foundry. We can make the Foundry go away. We make the Scepter go away. We can do both at once with this plot device, with this story. And that's what they're doing. It is smart for them to write the Scepter out of the story. That is smart. I don't necessarily love the way it's happening here, with only the Scepter can close this gate, because it's so inconsistent. That particular piece of it is so wildly inconsistent with everything we know about the Mist in the game to this point. Or at least my headcanon of everything we've seen about the Mist to this point. But I feel like the portals to the Mist all over Kryta completely fly in the face of this particular part of the story. Mabon, how are you keeping the gate closed?
I've tied my life force to the Mist's gate. It will remain shut for a time, but not long, I'm afraid.
Life Force. But everyone's been saying you're dead.
Poised arrow.
You're quite correct. I am dead. In the world of Tyria. Once other realms are involved, it complicates matters. The gate is anchored to multiple beings. One in Tyria, Cyrus, and then multiple in the Mists. Myself being one of them.
Alright. Logical question. Two logical questions. One, what do you mean it's tied to your life force? Like, what is the process for that? We're not going to get an answer to that. Multiple beings, this is the other one. Multiple beings in the Mist. Who else is the gate tied to?
Yes, 3 in fact. They are the ones responsible for taking advantage of my death to open it.
The 3 White Mantle members.
Very good. Ulrich, Tatiana, and Judge. Or as you know them, Greer, Decima, and Ura. By releasing their souls from the realm of torment, you can close the gate for good. But you must act soon.
How do we release their souls? Okay. Before we ask, how do we release their souls, I have another question. This incredibly powerful gate, which requires the scepter to close, was arbitrarily opened, and we also get a timeline for when they were here, which is years after Codicus's death. So we got two issues right now. One, the gate was opened by 3 rando White Mantle. Conveniently, Mabon died, and they're like, hey, we can open this gate now. And yet it requires Legavo to close. So wild inconsistency between what was required to open it, what was required to close it. Maybe that's how Mist gates work. Maybe the Mist gate in Lion's Arch, going to World vs. World, will never be closed. It was easy for the Asura to open, and boop, now we can go do World vs. World. But it can never be closed because Legavo will be gone and there's just nothing else. Maybe numerous wizards here can find a way to close it. I don't know. There is also, I think in the lore, there's a a staff that is like the sister to, or the brother to, or whatever, Legavo. So maybe they'll close the gate to World vs. World with that. I, I don't know. The other issue here, oh, what was it? There was something else that was tremendously bothering me. And I forgot about it because I got so worked up over this stupid gate. Oh, a massive time inconsistency. Mabon's death allowed them to open the gate, which means they were still 3 rando white mantle 2 years ago, year and 10 months ago, whatever it was, when Mabon died. At the release of Soto, because he died in like the core Soto story, not the demon stuff, they were alive and kicking as White Mantle here, writing letters to Codicus, who had died 8-9 years before. He died in season 3. So there we have a fairly significant time inconsistency here. How do we release their souls, Mabon?
I suspect a few touchstone objects exist within the confines of Tyria that will be key in their release. Scour the hidden corners of Tyria known closely to the White Mantle, and you will surely find them. You're likely to be quite familiar with some of them already, Wayfinder.
Okie dokie. I'm not going to go into that. We'll talk about it as we scour Tyria. Mabon, I have about 1,000 questions.
There will be time for further musings.
No, there won't.
But for now, I ask that you make haste recovering the touchstones, Wayfinder.
Okie dokie. Alright, do I want to put the rest of this into another video? No, I don't. I want to get it done. So let's do it. Let us make haste, and I do mean that, and we'll recover this nonsense. I'm not even going to try for the achievements, because there are some achievements if you like look at all the little trinkets and stuff. We're not going to do that. We're going to make a point of recovering the things and getting back here, lickety-split. Oh, an armor smithing station. Oh, we got mail. Help with touchstones. Commander. I can't read that. Take the list from Livia's mail. Okay. Letter from Livia. Commander. To no one's surprise, Mabon and the wizards have employed their typical cryptic form of guidance. You're wanting to talk. I'm sure you're left with more questions than answers about how to proceed. To that end, I'm sending you this report on known White Mantle activity over the past several months. Hopefully, this will help you track down these touchstones. You can thank me later. Livia. Oh, I didn't actually take the thing. Alright, thanks. So here we go. Commander, here are the known White Mantle hideouts that the Shining Blade continue to monitor for activity. Though none of our spies reported any noteworthy activity in the past few months, that doesn't mean that our 3 White Mantle wouldn't have left ties to their actions at any of the locations. At minimum, it's worth getting a closer look. Divinity's Reach. In the past, Shining Blade agents have observed White Mantle activity by the gardens in the northeastern corner of Rurickton. That's hard to say. As it is near the gates leading to Lake Doric, it continues to be a notorious spot for White Mantle versus Seraph altercations. Continues to be? Are the White Mantle still that big a thing? Brisbane Wildlands, which is here. It's Brisbane. Is it Brisbane on the map? And I've always just said Brisbane. Their hideout north of this region remains abandoned after we cleared out one of their cells during that whole Lazarus adventure. However, clusters of the bandits in the Wendon Steppes continue to be sympathetic to the White Mantle. They may still harbor the occasional Justiciar in their forces. Couldn't hurt to take a look. Shire of Beetleton. In the northeast corner of Queensdale, the Shire, situated right outside Codicus's former estate, remains under the Shining Blade's watchful eye. Still, the minister's most loyal servants make pilgrimages to the site, perhaps hoping that against all hope he may return someday. He may someday return, is actually what it says. Pathetic, really. But then again, here we are working with a wizard returned from the death. Who are we to judge what's possible? At any rate, I could see any of our 3 loyalists wanting to remain close to Codicus this way. Exactly what should you be looking for at these locations? That I leave to your judgment. You'll know it when you see it sort of thing. Like pornography, I know it when I see it. Best of luck, Commander. Alright. I do want to, while we're standing here, I want to talk to this guy and also Stivia Yostdottir and Raz Shimbreak over here. Because they're both a little bit funny. ArenaNet kind of made little jokes about the way they always do things. And so with the merchant here, Tasha Aetherwatch, Commander, I know you just want to access your typical merchant, but it is nice to make some small talk, yeah? So instead of like the same dialogue that's always there, they like throw this in and we can say various things, including "Wow, that's quality armor," which is fun, right? That's been a running joke for a while. We say it. He says thanks because that's always what you say to that. And then you know, we can ultimately like, you know, do things with things. Okay, if we come over here to the merchant, this is actually good.
We should be on the front lines, not checking.
Hi there, Commander. Talking to me has already reinforced your armor. Why? Because the minute I saw you, I knew you were going to ask, can you reinforce my armor? Saves us unpleasant small talk, which he wanted small talk, right? Wow, that's quality armor. It is indeed, especially when reinforced. Okay. I like that little touch, because there was always like the unnecessary dialogue box when what you wanted could have been achieved with just a click. I think Riggs says something. That's a good Asuran name, and he looks like an Asura should look. Jadebot Workbench was a bit large to bring here. However, if you stay close, I can help you change out your modules, blah, 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 blah. So they made little touches to the merchants here. That's cool. I can dig that. That is cool. Is Divinity's Reach our first stop? Looks like it is. Where's Rurikton? Rurikton. Alright. Let's go straight there. No running around because I don't want to waste time. This is going to be a long video as is, but I don't want to exacerbate things by doing more videos. Alright.
Judge's prayer book. Well, seems inoffensive enough. Well, words can certainly shape your views.
Okie
Though
dokie.
some people will shape words till they fit their views. That's usually when things get dangerous.
Thanks for preaching to me, Commander. Alright, I don't remember which one of these. I think the prayer book was actually the thing we needed. So we're good here. Brisbane Wildlands. Oh, I don't have much of this map on this character. Brisbane. Yes, Brisbane here on the loading screen. Not Brisbane. Brisbane. Brisbane in the... Isn't that interesting? So versus me, like, being unhappy about the inconsistency, I almost kind of like it. Like it's like a regional dialect. Like Livia pronounced it Brisbane because that is the way some people pronounce it. That's going to be my headcanon for that. But truthfully, it's probably just yet another inconsistency. That is the more realistic answer. I'm making excuses for ArenaNet, and I shouldn't do that. Almost never do. I shouldn't have gone to the waypoint I did. I should have gone to a different one. In my head, this is always like at that spot where there's like somewhere along here there's like an area where they designed a portal from one map to another map. And I always think that this should be there, but it's not. It's here. So clearly I'm an idiot.
You're dead.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Alright. Now, to be clear, to do this, you don't have to clear out all those enemies. I just didn't feel like having them follow me back here, which they could potentially do. So, alright, so we got some things. And I believe it's, what is this over here? Oh, no, that's a player's thing. White Mantle badge here is actually what we were looking for.
Badge. Looks like Tatiana's.
How does the commander know
Not
that?
Status as much as belonging. Should have been more careful where she sought to belong.
Ugh, Commander's getting real preachy. And also, how does she know that's Tatiana's? Doesn't even make any sense. Beaton. Oh. I haven't been there yet on this character either. Okay. to be fair, players don't want to... This isn't the kind of game. There are plenty of players who would enjoy it because they might enjoy like other kinds of games where you do these kind of things. But your average Guild Wars 2 player probably does not want to go through some protracted process of identifying that the badge was Tatiana's, or that that particular relic is one of significance, right? I get exhausted by how many like shortcuts they take in the story and by how bad the story can be sometimes. But in their defense, this is probably a scenario where drawing things out would not have benefited them. I feel like. Right, a shield, a statue, White Mantle torch.
A torch from Codicus's estate. Must have been a gift to Ulrich. I'm sure a gesture like that comes as high praise to his most devout. Personally, I'd take it as an insult. Looks like that's all of them. I should really get back to Baba Nisos. Vaban can only hold the gate so long.
Ominous. How does she know that was a gift? Even if she knew it was Ulrich's, even if it had like his name inscribed on it, like how would she specifically know that that was a gift? Super weird. I got some pretty good stuff from those chests. Nice. And Zytaffy, which I keep but don't actually use ever for anything. I quit doing the holiday stuff so long ago. Where are we going? Here we go. It just stopped being interesting to me. I don't think I've done holidays for 5 or 6 years now. Of course, I don't do holiday stuff in real life either. It's 4th of July, and I'm playing Guild Wars 2. So there you go. I'm going to play some Stellaris, or Cyberpunk 2077. Something like that after this. Alright. I say something like that. Stellaris and Cyberpunk 2077 are nothing alike. It's hard to draw a line between the two in any way whatsoever. I mean, I guess you could make a cyberpunk race. You could have your race in Stellaris be like cyberpunky sort of guys. That would fit the vibe. It might work. All right, Maban. I'm back with
I
things.
located the touchstones, all mementos from their time with the White Mantle.
Imagine having such a sad life that your most valuable possessions are from joining a cult. Thanks, Livia.
People in impossible circumstances tend to seek hope in impossible salvations.
Huh.
Tormented as their souls might be, these items shall resonate with their owners enough to cleave the demonic essence.
If it were up to me, they'd rot in the bowels of that hellscape for all eternity. That I'd consider justice.
As might I. But if the price of their damnation is the birth of more Titans, does that not compound the injustice?
There will be time for philosophical discussion later. I cannot hold this gate indefinitely.
No use delaying. Let's move out.
So it's worth noting Livia's history, her dialogue of, being particularly venomous towards the White Mantle makes sense for her history. So that's not like I don't have any problem with her taking such a hard stance, or I don't find any inconsistency there. It's perfectly logical. I like Maban's thing about impossible circumstances. What is it he said? People in impossible circumstances tend to seek hope in impossible salvations. I like that. I mean, it's so true. All right, open the gate, Maban. Jeez. I mean, can he not just wave his arms around like that to close it? Alright, Foundry of Failed Creations. From whence the Titans came.
What is this nightmare?
Right. This is your first time here. We're in the realm of torment, deep in the mists. It's sort of an afterlife.
The Foundry of Failed Creations, to be precise. The abyss from which Titans are born.
Alright, so earlier I said Underworld. That was inaccurate. It's the Realm of Torment. And they're not, as I recall, synonymous. If I remember correctly, they are two distinct places in Guild Wars 2 lore. So I did misspeak
Red,
earlier.
You were here before? Do these demons look different than you remember them?
They do appear to have changed. It's been quite some time since my last visit.
You've been here?
Centuries ago. And I had to clean up after some heroes.
So that's kind of an interesting thing for him to say, because I think it's intended to be a reference to the player character in Guild Wars 1. And while you do go to the Underworld, as I previously stated in Guild Wars 1, you actually in, what is it called? It's not factions, it's not factions or prophecies, it's the other one. I can't remember. Anyway, the deserty, you know, the predecessor to Path of Fire, you go to Realm of Torment a bit.
Not everyone who dies ends up here, right?
No, no. It's mostly just for corrupt souls. It gets more complicated than that, but nothing to worry about.
Oh. Okay.
So is that kind of important dialogue? So Poised Arrow, Sorrow, you said this place is like an afterlife, so not everyone who dies ends up here, right? Waiting Sorrow says, no. It's mostly for corrupt souls. It gets more complicated than that, but nothing to worry about. I don't know, I don't recall specifically anywhere previously in Guild Wars 2 lore, or Guild Wars lore in general, where there was specification about where in the mists or how in the mists your soul goes. Like the concept of a heaven and hell, or something like that, depending on whatever faith you subscribe to or whatnot. Like the idea that good souls go somewhere and bad souls go somewhere. I don't recall that being part of the mist thing in Guild Wars 2 prior to that exchange. And I could completely be wrong. It might have always been that way. I also haven't played, like, in the Realm of Torment, in Guild Wars 1, in an incredible amount of time. I mean, I have Guild Wars 1 installed, I just don't really play it. So I don't know with certainty, but that does strike me as odd. Also, so Isgarin was previously in the Realm of Torment to clean up after some heroes, which, again, I take to mean the Guild Wars 1, the original Guild Wars player character. But Waiting Sorrow was also here for something, because she's the one who asked Isgarin in the first place, do the abominations look different? Which is also interesting. Approach with caution. I sense their hunger through the scepter.
You traveled far to bear us this scepter, long used in our kind's subjugation. It has found its rightful home. With it, we shall rule our own destiny. So it is written. So it is our divine right.
Kneel now and relinquish our gift. Then maybe we'll allow you to leave unharmed.
I watch my homeland burned at the hands of your kind. You think I'd bow to you, let alone gift you such power? Says Livia. The shadow has warped your minds. We'll be sure to set them straight. Alright, which one's judge? There we go.
Clear the air. Feel the fear. I can't see.
I'll invite you soon.
Ooh, I did not dodge that. Oh, bummer. Thought I dodged it. I did not.
We heal as one.
And that confusion is powerful. Judge of Mesmer? He's using Mesmer skills. So, one thing that I've heard other people reference is, like, kind of odd and, you know, it's... If you look at the silhouettes here for this part of the story, I'm doing a bad job of this, wow. You'll note that if there was any question up until this point about the apparent gender of these white mantle, you can actually look at their...
Speak falsehoods. Retribution will meet you in the end. Sounds like it's meeting you first.
Wayfinder, the prayer book. Use the heart to channel its essence into his soul.
Oh, yeah. So the heart does this too. The heart of the obscure, once again, just this colossal MacGuffin that they very intentionally wrote into the game. They wrote it as an intentional MacGuffin. And here it is unleashed in its full power. Anyway. Oh, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the genders. There are 2 males and 1 female. Tatiana here is obviously female. Like, it's a very female name. Like, oh, I stood right in the business, and I'm gonna go down. Like, it's inevitable. Oh, but my friends are helping me. That's very nice, you guys. I'm really playing quite poorly here. But the Titans appear to be 2 females and a male. Ura was apparently female. And what was the other one? Greer was apparently male, and then Decima was apparently female. Here we have very clearly 2 males and a female. And folks have asked, like, you know, what is that about? Did, you know, the process of them becoming Titans, like, actually change their genders or whatever? One, I'm not as hung up on that, I think is... And I'm not saying other folks are hung up on it. I'm sure some folks are, but... I also don't think ArenaNet feels the slightest need to, like, explain that or justify it in any way. Historically, they've been very comfortable with, you know, portraying gender in a variety of ways in the game. So I don't think that we will ever get any sort of you know, explanation or whatever for that. I don't think they feel the need to do that.
Your vital tricks. What is happening to me? What have you done?
The heart, Wayfinder. Channel the badge's essence into her soul.
Yeah, I get it. The heart of the obscure can do everything. What bothers me more about it than, you know, whether or not there's some kind of gender bending thing here, and you know, how did it happen, and, you know, is it... my question is, there are 2 likelihoods. There are other possibilities. I don't know what those possibilities are. The 2 likelihoods are the 2 most reasonable explanations for this. 1, they very much intended for a discrepancy in the genders. That is certainly a possibility. Like, there's nothing that would make that weird when dealing with ArenaNet. The other... Oh, he moved. The other possibility is that they write their story so haphazardly in terms of, like, schedule. Like, they don't have the story outlined months in advance. They kind of come up with it on the fly. And consequently, they did not decide that 3 specific white mantle were the 3 Titans until it was like too late to change that or something. That possibility would bother me quite a bit more. I've long suspected that this is a problem for them. I've long suspected that they do not have good time management when it comes to like writing the story. I have always suspected.
Caracas's torch. The heart will channel its essence. Do it, Wayfinder.
Okay, sure. I've always suspected that. Pick better heroes next time, says Anise. Small-minded fools. They didn't deserve absolution, says Livia.
Some may very well say the same of us. Perhaps none of us are so deserving.
Either way, it's a discussion best saved for Tyria. I've had my fill of the underworld for at least another century.
Alright, she said underworld. Is the Realm of Torment in there? Alright, genuinely I don't know at this point. Here's what I do know. This is all we're going to see of this place, and that's probably a letdown for a lot of players. A lot of players very much wanted this to be a playable, and I'm sure they want it even more now that they've seen all this, because this looks really cool. Like the color schemes, like the chains and this thing going on here with like the fiery tornado. Like players would have wanted to play in this space, and they're not going to get to. Judge. Tatiana. Ulrich. Ah. Yeah, he's like old man. Alright, so just to wrap up what I was saying before we leave the Underworld or Realm of Torment or whatever. I've always suspected that the introduction of Balthazar as the surprise enemy in Season 3 and then the primary antagonist for Path of Fire was a reaction to what the community was kind of wishing for out loud and not actually planned. I genuinely think, and there is some evidence to the contrary. There is some evidence that I may be wrong on this, but I stand by it. I think when Lazarus was introduced, so many players said, "Oh, I think it's Balthazar," that ArenaNet made it so. Which I always thought, A, I always thought that was true, and B, I always thought that it was gross, if it is true. And there are plenty of examples where it appears that they are writing the story release by release, and not writing a story and then developing by release. In other words, I'm saying I believe that the Guild Wars 2 story should be written a year to 2 years in advance. The expansion that they're going to release here in a few months, that should be essentially done. They should be doing bug fixes and polish on it. And maybe, I don't know, I don't know what production timelines look like. I know that it was delayed. It was originally going to be released in like a month, and now it's going to be released in like October or something. It got delayed by 3 months, right? So, in theory, it should have been almost ready to go. So the story for that should be done. The story for that entire mini expansion should be done. What I'm saying is the story for the next one should already be done too. Even if that content is not developed, story-wise, even if it's not voice acted, story-wise, it should be done. And I suspect it's not. It wouldn't surprise me if the last couple content releases, the last couple chapters or whatever, of the next expansion still weren't fully written.
Well, my friends, you corrected my mistake when I could not. And here I thought Epoch was your finest work to date.
Huh.
We did not shoulder those burdens in solitude. What a difference it makes in trusting the confidence of others. Though, perhaps some could learn to be more patient so as to encourage such trust.
Lessons abound. Now all that remains is to close the Mist's Gate from this side. And then, I may rest.
So, this is goodbye, then. I'm grateful I had the chance to say it this time.
As am I. It's good to see you back. You're right where you should be.
Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere.
I like the sound of that.
Bernice, keep Livia in line. Livia, you do the same for Bernice. I'd tell you to keep her safe as well, but I know her better than that. She's more than capable.
You know me well. You'll be missed. That's what Anise said.
Historian, I chose the Wayfinder for a reason. Place faith in one another, and each give the other a reason to do so.
You have my word.
Yes, well, I think it's about time, Livia.
Fine,
Goodbye, my friend.
said Livia, not Fia.
Farewell. Thank you.
Alright, so Mabon said there will be time for questions later. And clearly, he lied, which we could have reasonably assumed. Not because Mabon the character is a liar, but because ArenaNet has no answers to offer when it comes to some of the plot holes. They simply will exist. Wayfinder, this is goodbye once more. Suppose we're getting better with practice. Commander, I'd certainly say so, and I meant it earlier. You do have my word. It's not yours that gives me pause, though perhaps Eparch was correct on one notion. You and Isgarin bear some things in common. I trust you both to navigate them. Commander, we've managed this long. Ask Eparch, though you already seem well aware. I have my ways. Maintain that amity, and it will serve you well. Take care of yourself, Wayfinder. Commander, farewell, Mabon. That's it. No questions. We were not given the opportunity to ask questions. And so now, the Mistgate beckons you bacteria. You can sense Mabon has set it to deliver you safely to the Alliance staging ground in Mistburg Barrens. Not where we entered it from, so he can change the settings on it willy-nilly. He just can't close it without the most powerful artifact in Tyria. And now he's going to. Alrighty. Oh, so he drops us off here, but this is not actually where we are supposed to be. We are actually supposed to be in Lion's Arch. I do love the tiny little Divinity Reach. Not Lion's Arch. I love the tiny little portal though. That's fun. Look, it comes from just a few little cubes here. We need more of those. More of those. Now we gotta find our way to Lion's Arch. If only there was a portal here in Divinity's Reach that could take us there. Oh yeah, this is actually quite a long instance. Ooh, maybe I should have split the video. Too late now. Well, it has the potential to be a long instance. Do we want it to be a long instance? We'll make it a medium instance. We'll skip the part where you talk to like 40 people or some nonsense. We won't do that. We'll just talk to a few.
See you next trip.
Wait a minute, why did my skin change when I came to Lion's Arch? Oh. There we go. Guild Initiative Headquarters. I am glad they did something with this. The concept of guilds are dead in Guild Wars 2. I know there are some big ones that do stuff, but a 20-person guild or a 15-person guild, a group of friends doing fun stuff together, that's not a thing in Guild Wars. In my opinion. I think there are big guilds, and there are people who are like the only members in their guilds or have like family guilds, and that's mostly just so they can have a tag. I mean, I have, well, both these guilds are just me, but I have like 4 others as well. Guild halls for most of them. That
Welcome,
doesn't
Commander.
mean
The
anything.
council is waiting for you in the audience chamber.
Thank you.
Oh, that was kind of cool. Instead of a bow, she did like a whole thing. So I'm glad they put this space to use, because this is honestly like one of the better little spaces they've created, in my opinion. I think the Guild Initiative headquarters, or whatever it's called, is like really, really good. Hi, Dougal.
Good to meet you.
Wow. Is that a unique voice? Like, I don't recognize that voice from any other characters, and it's a lot. Oh, everyone's waiting on us. We should come in here. All our friends are here. I, Councillor Ludo of Radasum, call this session to order. As we are here to discuss recent events in Janthir and Bavanisos, Countess, would you care to deliver your report? Great. One non-voiced character asks another. Of course, says Anise. We traced the cause of the Titan outbreak to the White Mantle. They were sent into Janthir on Codicus's behalf before his death. Yeah, like 10 years before his death. They were searching for a misgate in Bavanisos to give their leader an upper hand. To what end, we're still parsing out. Maybe that'll be important later. They were all killed, but they were also successful in their mission, hence our little Titan problem. But that problem has been resolved. The Titans are dead, all 4 of them. The gate is sealed. Commander, you were a first-hand participant in these events. Can you confirm for the Council? What, am I like co-signing a loan? Sure. I'll confirm for the Council.
I can testify to the Countess's report. We were able to defeat the 3 initial Titans, and then a 4th. It had been living in the city since the city fell. When the White Mantle entered the ruins, it manipulated them into opening the gate. The Scepter, Legavo, played a significant role in sealing it. Olivia's judgment aside.
Alright, you think carefully about what you believe that the Tyrian Alliance should focus on at the conclusion of your report. Now, they killed the significance of this, like, really, really early in the game. I can't remember if it was, like, I think it was after release, but, like, in the first year. They went away with the character system. It might have been a little bit later, but if so, not much. They still include it from time to time, I think, for like the roleplay side of it, and that's okay, but again, the whole point of giving players choices is to have consequence, and Guild Wars 2 can't do that. And it's hard to do it in an MMO in general, so I'm willing to mostly let them off the hook on that. But they really can't do it. We're going to focus the Council to reflect on a great victory. I mean, 2 of these things are like pretty good, right? Reflect on a great victory, memory of a fallen friend. Remind the Council of the logic of acting decisively. Just feels like really underhanded and passive aggressive, because like Ludo and Livia and stuff, like it was 50-50 in the Council between using the Scepter and not using it. So this is just, if we originally chose not to use the Scepter, this is just us coming back and kind of being snotty about it. I wonder if this is what is different if we side with Livia. I don't know. I doubt it, but I don't know. We're going to reflect on great victory.
We ventured into the gut of the beast and cut off its life source. It is dead. The menace is gone.
In short, the gate was sealed, the Titans were defeated, and the Scepter of War was lost to the mist. Conveniently for ArenaNet. Thank you both. This is Ludo. We will be meeting throughout the coming days with the rest of the Alliance to scrutinize every detail. You were there, Ludo. There is much work to be done, including providing the Coden with any supplies needed to recoup their losses while aiding our Alliance. We will also discuss Lady Livia's penalty, though the Council knows where I stand on her actions. Is losing my beauty routine not punishment enough? Says Livia. Ha! Livia. But for now, the rest of you can pat yourselves on the shoulder, says Ludo. Dismissed.
To celebrate your victory, we've organized a bit of a soiree that will commence later this evening. A well-earned reprieve. Collect yourselves. Mourn. Heal. And acknowledge what we've all experienced. just as the bearkin taught us.
Indeed.
Aw, shucks. Alright. We got a few folks that we can speak to before we, kick off the soiree or something like that. So let's talk to them. We got Pokey and Stoic Alder here.
Oh, now that I've established myself as a hero for the songbooks, I figure Lowland Ambassador is next on my list.
My son's confidence has never wavered, even when it should have.
And my pa's nerves have never stilled, even when his son has made a name for himself as a guardian of Janthir.
You've done well, son. You've weathered life's storms with the very poise your ma hoped for. Much of what I sought to teach you, you've taught me by way of example. Bravery, weathering grief, granting forgiveness. I am proud beyond words, just as your ma would be if she could see you now.
Ma would be just as proud of you. We've had a tough go of it. Come on. We've earned a celebration.
Let's see if this alliance can put on a party half as good as us lowlanders.
Yeah!
I do think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I do think that Pokey and Stoic Alder, like, their story arc is probably one of the better parts of Janthir Wilds. Maybe it's because it's relatable, maybe because it's not quite as overbearing as some other stuff. It is a little bit much sometimes, but probably pretty well done by Guild Wars 2 standards. Waiting Sorrow and Isgaran, you guys gonna, like, make up and make out, or what's going on here?
And it's done.
I'm glad you joined us, Sorrow. How do you feel?
Warm. Yeah, there's comfort in solitude. It's easier. But there's also comfort in belonging again. I can't imagine returning to Shadow after all of this.
As Mabon said, you are right where you should be.
Of course you'd think that. You just want to keep tabs on me, Ren. Don't like your things out of place.
You are a sobering presence.
As are you.
That's not so bad. I mean, that puts a bow on their whole thing, right? We got Livy over here, who's of course not going to be voice acted, so obviously I'll read it. Interestingly, Jenna had not been voice acted in previous releases and now is. So I guess they take turns being on strike. I'm not sure how that works. I'm genuinely curious about it because it really jumped out at me. It was jarring for me, actually, when Jenna was voice acted after not being voice acted after previously being voice acted. Meanwhile, Anise, who I think had been voice acted up until this point, suddenly was not. It was all, like, bizarre. Commander, come to wish me well before they haul me off to wherever they decide to haul me off to? Do you regret what happened, Livia? Not in the least. I suspect the Alliance would have come to the same decision eventually, but time was not on our side. I did what I had to do, but I also accept whatever repercussions I may face. Oh, face after. For starters, I've been uninvited from your little party. I suppose it's fair. I'll just have to throw my own. I'll put up streamers in your cell, says Anise from way over in the corner over here. I think that is it. I can't mount up in here. I have to manually run around like a heathen, like a peasant. Yeah, there's nothing else on the map. Alright. Let's go talk to Queen Jenna. We'll get this soiree started. And earlier, I had talked about Anise's change in attire, which I do quite like. We're going to get that now from Jenna, which I also quite like. Commander, you've once more proven yourself a friend of Kryta and all of Tyria. We can start the festivities in honor of your accomplishments whenever you're ready. Why, at this point, considering like 6 dragons, 1 god, 1 lich, titans, and a demon emperor. Why am I not just like experiencing a permanent party everywhere I go, Queen Jenna? Huh? Let's get this party started. Watch the speech by Queen Jenna. Okay, I will do that. It's several hours later. They want me to note.
Look at this crowd. It's nice to see everyone.
Everyone, says Anise.
I hope you've all been enjoying the evening. It has been delightful to share a glass with so many familiar faces. We are surrounded by friends tonight, new and old. There are many bonds that are just beginning to blossom. We are here to celebrate our victory. But we also celebrate the Alliance and what it represents. Change, productivity, healing. Tyria. There are challenging days ahead of us. We are not ignorant. As long as there is ground beneath our feet, there will be conflict. But we are more prepared to face that conflict when we care for each other. Now, raise a glass to your neighbor. To Tyria and the brightest of futures.
To Tyria.
To the dawn, after a long night of storm.
Yay, go team. And of course, like, all of these characters are significant in some way. What I don't want to do is, like, belabor that by going character to character to character and, like, talking about who they are. Because this is the story playthrough, so we should have seen all these characters, right? Like, we should know who every one of these characters is. There is, I assume, in fact, let's see it down here. True introvert, pet the cat at the party and leave without socializing with anyone. We will get that, because I'm not going to socialize with all these people in the interest of keeping the video short. Undoubtedly, we will miss some fun little lore or something. And that's too bad, but I don't want the video to run long, and I care a lot less about the lore than I used to. So, is the cat by Jenna? Because the cat's always by Jenna,
I'm glad
right?
to see your hair brushed, Countess.
Oh, well, now I'm not going to get it. I had to act as liaison between Livia and the council for one more day. I'd have no hair. Oh, if I had to.
Thankfully, your responsibility has been fulfilled. For now. Enjoy yourself. Call my hairdresser.
You don't pay me enough to listen to that woman's banter. I'll see if Logan has some time.
That would certainly be a sight. But say, did I see him? Is he here now?
What?
I was hoping you wouldn't notice. He is. Haven't you heard? He's with the Pact again.
As my advisor, you are supposed to tell me these things. How do I look?
With those flushed cheeks? Darling. Alright, well, now we're not going to get the cat achievement, I suppose, because I ran over here looking for the cat and triggered Queen Jenna. Who is apparently looking for Logan, who is here. And it's my understanding that if we were to then go talk to Logan, that he would say something about, what's her name? Who also says something about him. The Lion's Arch chick. I can't remember her name now. Where's she at? None of these. I'm just looking for the cat, which is very hard to see with the script all over the screen. I realize all the people in the script earned it, and kudos to them, but it makes finding the cat really hard. Is that it? Cat. Alright. Pet the cat. Consider the cat pet. Okay, one more thing before we run out of here. Real is here. Agent Real Darkwater. There she is. So, I think most players have, like, a favorite character that has very little meaningful impact on the game whatsoever, but in their headcanon is their favorite character, just because they've imbued some personality on that character, even though that character has no personality in the game. For me, that's Real Darkwater. Like my favorite character. She doesn't actually do anything in the game.
Have a nice evening, Commander.
Oh, I did get True
It's
Introvert.
like the weather's finally breaking, so enjoy it while it lasts.
What to do? I'll do that.
Oh, thanks, Line Guard Lieutenant. Alright, so we are again caught up on the story. At least for now, for a few months, and then we won't be caught up again. But for now, we are caught up again, and that's great. So, yeah. Thank you for hanging out with me. Really appreciate it. Next time I see you, it will presumably be for the next expansion, although I am going to do at least one quick video in between now and then that will not be part of the personal story playthrough, about the maybe reintroduction of... They gave special thanks to their families, pets, and loved ones. Your pets? Alright. Your cat did a good job with the game. This cat. See? Right there. Cat. Anyway, yeah, maybe the reintroduction of elite specs, like, I wouldn't believe it, except there seems to be some evidence that it is true. So I might do a quick video about that. Otherwise, I'll see you when the next expansion drops. Thank you, and I hope you have a good one.